Hello, and welcome to the Leisurely Learning EquatIO series. In this series, we will be going over in depth how to use the various parts of the EquatIO extension to best support your students. In this video, we will be reviewing the speech input tool. Let's get started. We're going to start with a very simple example. So we're going to open up the speech input, which is the button that looks like a microphone. And you're going to see it looks very similar to the handwriting tool, which has the screen split in half. So the red button is what we're going to use to record the speech. So I'm just going to turn it on. And when you're talking, you're going to notice that it doesn't really write everything that I'm saying. It's listening for things that sound like math. So for example, for, to, I, and will give you mathematical symbols, but the rest of my words are not showing up. So just something to be aware of when you're using it, that if someone else is talking or if someone forgets something and they start talking in words, you don't have to worry about that being inputted into the speech position. All right, so let's try this counting. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. Okay, and you can see as I was talking, it actually changed the way it looked over here in the input side. It started off all clumped together and then they put some dashes in between it. And that's the thinking that it does behind the speech input. So just like everything else, when you're finished, you're going to press Insert Math to have that appear on the page. All right, let's try a slightly more difficult example. So this example here has some variables in it, and you don't have to, but I really like to say the word letter in front of the variable just so that the computer fully understands that it's not a number, right? Because sometimes the way I pronounce things or the way people pronounce things, it can be confusing sometimes. -9, letter X, plus 3, letter Y, plus 1 equals 0, right? I can now go over here, go to my next line. 3, letter Y, equals 9, letter X, minus 1. Right? And so on and so forth. And again, that math can be inserted onto the page. It's thinking about it. There we go. All right, now let's try something extremely complicated. So we're going to try and replicate this equation here. So a couple things to think about here. We've got a bunch of different variables. So again, I'm going to use that letter piece. I have a fraction, and because it's not a simple fraction, so I could come in here and say 1/4, and it will make it as a fraction, no problem. But because this one has multiple variables on the top, I'm actually going to preface that by using the word fraction. And then when I'm done certain sections, I'm going to use the word stop to let it know that I'm done with that piece. So let's give this a try. Fraction, letter X, cubed, letter Y, squared, letter Z, exponent 4, stop, all over, X, exponent 2, stop, Z, letter Z, power 2, stop, stop, equals. So again, I used a mixture of exponent and power and some of the natural names for these terms. I used stop when I wanted to bring it back down in line, and then I used stop again to bring it up in line to do the equal sign. And then when I wanted it to be aware that that top line was done, I used all over. And that's really what you have to do. You kind of have to talk it through as if you were reading it to someone. I also went slightly slower than the way I talk, just so that it gives the computer the chance to really think about what I'm saying. And that's basically how you use the speech input in EquatIO. So I want to thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, be sure to use the link below to access the EquatIO video question forum. Be sure to leave an email so that we can respond to your questions.